With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It is Wednesday evening once again, and that means it's time for another Auburn Family Night. This is our weekly live call-in show where you, the Auburn family, take center stage. Let's talk about the Auburn experience, mainly from your perspective. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we talk about that Auburn experience. The Auburn experience for us is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. And the easier way to say it is it's orange and blue. Whoa, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So we thank you so much for joining us in what we do in this particular live stream. This is one of our favorite times of the week where we love to get together with you, the Auburn family, and talk about what's on your minds within the Auburn experience. You take center stage tonight. Your comments, your questions, and of course your calls as well. We'll open the phone lines up in just a little bit so you guys can go ahead and take advantage of that. That is up and available for you now in the pinned at the very top of your chat here on YouTube. You should be able to access it on Facebook. I'm not 100% certain of that, but it's always brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net, and we thank them so much for doing that. Appreciate them, and do check them out at allthingsauburn.net for a great place to stay at Auburn, but also to have an Auburn experience. I'm a little out of practice with this. We have missed 2 straight weeks of this, I think, to be honest with you. It's our weekly show, but unfortunately, because of basketball games and other things, was it a basketball game as well, that have gotten in the way? I think it was the holidays. Yes, it was Thanksgiving. We have missed this, and we almost missed it tonight because the SEC decided of all nights they were going to drop their schedule. So we have already done a full reveal of Auburn's 2025 schedule reaction show that you can go check out if that's all you want. We will talk some more about that here, I'm sure, but it's really predicated upon what you all want to discuss. But there are plenty of things to discuss in this Auburn experience. It has been a busy week. We have got National Signing Day that happened last week, and there's still follow of that. Transfer portal stuff. There is a new soccer coach. Fall sports stuff is wrapping up. Winter sports is kicking the high gear here. We got a big matchup with Ohio State. So really, you can just pick your poison about what we talk about tonight and get into. So don't be shy. Join us in the chat. Smash the like button and let us know that you're here by letting us know where you're watching from this evening. As I said, the 2025 schedule is now officially out, ready for you to start planning. I have already started my brain churning about my travel plans, and it's going to be interesting to dive into that more and more as time goes on. So certainly I'd love to talk about that with you guys. I know what is prevalent on a lot of y'all's minds right now is transfer portal. Keep in mind that for me personally, certainly if you guys call in and want to talk about it, we can. I don't do a lot of deep dives into people who haven't committed yet, so I'm not going to have a ton of opinions on that because I just haven't spent a lot of time worrying about it. But people who are committed, who are signed, transfer portal or not, certainly are very prevalent in my mind, so we can dive into that a little bit. But I think we all recognize there are some areas that Auburn probably needs some help, whether that be leadership help or depth chart help or just some fresh new start there. And we can certainly talk about those different angles rather than just the individuals. So whatever angle you want to take tonight, go ahead and get active in the chat. Let us know what's on your mind. Let's get this Auburn Family Night rolling. Excited to be back in the saddle with you all once again, so don't be shy. All right, we got our first caller of the night already lined up. He's been waiting very patiently, so let's go ahead and say hello to him. He's one of our fan favorites. Mr. Kevin, what's going on?
We're number one.
We're number one in what? Everything?
Yeah, everything.
That's what I like to hear, buddy. That's what I like to hear. What's on your mind, sir?
I think we will get a quarterback from the transfer thing.
I think you're right, and I think you'd be right times two. I think we'll get two of those. It looks
Who
like
else?
we have spots for two quarterbacks, probably from the transfer portal.
And how about wide receivers?
You talking about from the transfer portal?
Yeah.
Well, we certainly have some spots available, and that's usually the angle that I take on it. If you got to think
Did
about
Cam,
K,
did,
huh?
is Cam D. Brown and Caleb Burton in the transfer thing?
Well, I'm not who you said on the first one, but Caleb Burton, I think, reportedly went into the transfer portal.
Oh my.
Uh, I think you said Camden Brown. I don't know about Camden Brown.
Yeah.
But we've got obviously KLS who's going to be gone. He has no more eligibility. So will Sam Jackson. So will Robert Lewis. But those three spots have effectively been filled by the high school recruits,
Yeah.
Eric and Derek Smith, and also Sam Turner. So
Sam
that
Turner.
Sam Turner, yeah, I know a lot of people forget about him because he's not a high-rated star for people, and they forget about him. They shouldn't. But I think there's spots still with Caleb Burton potentially leaving, maybe others for a couple of transfer portal wide
Did he
receivers.
did he get to play any?
Caleb Burton was hurt a lot of the year.
Oh,
I don't know what games off the top of my head he was available for. I think I remember him running out there a few times early, but that's about it.
my favorite my favorite wide receiver this year was Cam Coleman.
I think that's a very easy one to have be your favorite. He was my favorite at a few times, but I think I got to give that category fully over to Mr. KLS. He was
Yeah,
outstanding this year.
KLS.
He was outstanding this year. I
How many,
loved
tou-
watching him.
how many touchdowns he ended up?
I don't have the stats on me right now, but I know it was in double digits. How about that? I'm pretty sure it was in double digits. He had
Um,
probably the most impressive year for a wide receiver in at least 5 or
and
6 years.
and Jaquez Hunter, he did great.
The Jarquez Hunter did amazing, breaking 1,000 yards, moving up the rankings. He's certainly solidified himself as one of the best that has done it at the running
Hey,
back position.
what's the running back?
Situation.
Yeah,
So we brought in Alvin Henderson to,
yeah.
you're replacing Jarquez. This is, as we know right now, you're replacing Jarquez. You are replacing, oh my gosh, Kyle. Wow. Brian Battie, who was, had his health and issue with what he suffered from that gunshot wound and obviously still isn't ready, maybe ever, to go play football again. So there's two spots that you've got to fill effectively. One of those has been by Alvin Henderson. So that leaves a question of, does somebody else from the transfer portal fill that spot? I would say that probability is high of that. The question is who, and everybody's got their opinions, and they're probably all wrong. But I think we're going to get another one.
Is somebody was visiting Auburn this week?
Mm-hmm. You're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of people are visiting. People are supposedly going to visit. Their visit was scheduled and then they canceled. My biggest advice to everyone is not to worry so much about the visits because they mean something. Obviously, if they visit, they're here checking out to see if they want to be here. But until they've committed, it really doesn't mean anything.
Hey,
So
that kid from Parker High School, Jordan Crawford.
yeah, he's a big guy, isn't he?
Oh my God.
He's a big old dude. I wasn't aware of how large of a human being he was until I actually saw a few clips of him. I was like, whoa, that's something right there.
I wish we get that in the my offer.
Well, he got allured by all that, neon green and yellow. He wanted to go be a duck, and let him go be a duck. That's fine. He'll never beat Auburn. That's okay.
Yeah. I bet. Hey, is Ron Williams leaving Alabama?
I do not cover Alabama nor worry about them unless we're playing them, so I have no clue, to be honest with you.
And our basketball team is good.
Oh, hey, they're really good. Number 2 right now,
8-1, could be 9-1 after Saturday.
Could be. I think we got a high chance. I've talked to some Ohio State fans on some different shows, and they don't seem too excited about playing us. So I think that bodes well for us. But hey,
how about where's the Purdue game at?
Purdue's in Birmingham. Purdue's in Birmingham.
Birmingham.
All right. So, Mr. Kevin, my last word from you tonight. I need to know what's the number one position that you want Auburn to focus on in the transfer portal?
Quarterback.
Had a feeling it was going to be quarterback. Obviously, there's a lot of room for quarterbacks.
I'm glad Peyton Thorne's gone.
Hey, now come on now. Let's not be rude to people, okay?
Hey,
Peyton Thorne's one of ours.
He played good.
Yeah, but let's not wish him that he's not gone, okay? So it's fine if you didn't prefer him, but Peyton Thorne's an Auburn man, and I appreciate his time
I
here.
wish he still had one more year.
Well, now you're just flip-flop on me, so I don't know where you're coming from. All right, Kevin. It was great to hear from you, buddy. I'm sure we'll be talking about to you on some other Wednesday shows.
I will see you at the A-Day game and the fan day if you there.
I will likely be there, so I'll be looking forward to it, buddy. Okay.
And basketball game.
Yes, sir. All right. Good to hear from you tonight. War Eagle.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was good to hear from Kevin tonight. Kevin getting a little feisty tonight with old Peyton Thorne, but hey, listen, he's not the first one to do that. Can't really tell where he was coming from on that. Anyway, all right, we got some comments and questions rolling in now. Let's get into a few of those and start talking about it. So don't be shy. Jump in and take advantage of the phone line if you'd like to. Unbeaten Lake says, a little bit odd that the media is not talking about Tahad Pettiford. Kept us in the game against Duke and has played amazingly. Amazing. How did you read that in there, Kyle? Yet the media is crickets, and he's not projected to get drafted. So what? If they're not talking about him, that means he'll stay around, or it's more likely he'll stay around for another year. Ain't worried about it for me. I don't know. I would encourage you not to be worried about it too much. I get that you want the kid to have his accolades, to get his laurels, all that stuff. That'll come with time. And right now, the attention for the media, as regards to Auburn, is firmly upon Janai Broome, as it should be. How in the world is Tennessee number 1 and Auburn number 2? It's very simple, Neil. They have 0 losses. Actually, haven't checked their schedule. As of those rankings coming out, they had 0 losses. We have 1. Now, what you're already typing, I'm sure, and probably everybody else as well. But their schedule is not as strong as ours. And that is true. I will agree with you on that. But that's the simple fact, is they have not lost yet. They have played and have a ranked win already. It's not comparable. And that was my strongest case that I would have made as well for Tennessee to not be ranked over Auburn. But the fact of the matter is Auburn lost. So we didn't get number 1 this time. The opportunity is still out there. And it really, as I know you've said before and several others, doesn't really matter what you're ranked in the middle of the season. What matters is who's standing at the end of everything. His number 1 position, offensive line. I guess this is for transfer portal needs. I agree. I would agree. Seems like Corey agrees with you as well. There we go. From an HOA meeting. Oh, Neil, you poor soul. You poor soul. My goodness. Everybody say a prayer for Neil. Ronnie, thanks for checking in from Bessemer. A lot of people are revealing where their interests most lie in the offensive line for the transfer portal. Tim says, did you go through the 2025 football schedule yet? So, Tim, we just did a full I was reading Neil's comments. We just did a full reaction show to that. We are going to talk about it here some too. So I can probably take more directed questions or comments about it. We won't just sit here and go through it line by line like we just did on that show. If you want just to focus on that, there's about a 15 to 20-minute live stream that went live just before this, so you could have just that. But certainly we can talk about that here. I'd love to hear some of y'all's opinions about it. Bryant says, heard talk about AU looking at a receiver for Georgia Tech. I've heard that as well. We'll see if it amounts to anything. We already flipped one in the high school ranks that was committed to Georgia Tech. Maybe he's in his ear. I don't know. It would be nice to see. Tim points out, just keep winning and we'll be number 1. That's a good way to think about it. Let's see here. Robert says, ranking this early is in round ball season is meaningless. Tennessee number 1 this early doesn't bother me. It's a long season. But let's talk about it from both ends, right? You would be excited about it if it already had happened. So there's a fine line where we can find that in the middle. It's not a big deal, but it's certainly fun to talk about and use against your opponents and your rivals, and frankly, for them to use against us. I am, just really pleased with what I've seen from this basketball team this season thus far. It's been, I want to say, a pleasant surprise, because it's not that I'm shocked or anything that they playing this well. It's just nice for the narrative that you began believing for what you felt like were well-informed reasons is coming true, or at least true thus far to this point, Tim says Baylor will be a tough first game next year. Well, anytime you go on the road in a Power 5 or whatever non-conference game, it's going to be tough. And as I said on that reaction stream, if Dave Aranda is still the head coach, which I think he is, and is still around, I think he's probably in his twilight and looking down the barrels of a firing. So he will be really interested in retaining his job and very motivated to get them ready for the Auburn Tigers. I said this at the end of that reaction stream about the schedule. I hope everybody is preparing themselves for the at least 50-50 shot of Auburn having a less than ideal start in 2025. That's a tough schedule. At Baylor, 2 rinky dinks at home, at Oklahoma, at Texas A&M, bye week Georgia. That's tough. Real tough, real tough. WT wants to know my preferred quarterback out of the portal. WT, you know this. You know what I'm about to say to this. I have no preferred quarterback because I don't see this is my personal view on this, and this is going to be like my commentary for a lot of this. And I hope it doesn't come across the wrong way. But I just see zero value in obsessing, wondering, lamenting, whatever the term you want to throw in there, about people who haven't committed yet. So I have no commit. I want whoever the coach wants, because the coach knows what the team's needs are the best. And I also know that on top of that too, he knows what they can afford. So people will be like all this year, oh, we dropped the ball on Cam Ward, or coach didn't go after him. And it's like, you don't know that. And you don't know what the price market was and if we were in it or not. We have a good NIL program, but there are others that have bigger ones than us. I can just look in Texas A&M and look at all that oil money and say that. So I know it's a boring answer. I just have no preference, and I have no really hardcore views on it one way or the other. Rankings are meaningless right now. I do love the fact that AU is a very, very good team and they're having a blast. Isn't that a nice combo when your team is really good and they're just having fun at the same time? It's a great combo. And we're having fun too watching this, because we're watching really good basketball being played by this team, but they also are just entertaining to watch and they're likable, Yeah, sure, you want to have that business mentality, go about your business thing, don't act like you've been there before, but they're just out there, having a blast and playing good ball too. Tennessee hasn't played we talked about this, Corey. They have, and I think that's an untrue narrative that's out there. People are looking at the schedule as it currently is. They have a ranked win I think it was, I'm not going to pull it up. It's not worth it. Anyway, they have a ranked win. Is it compared to our schedule and our record and no, it's not, but Tennessee does deserve right now to be the number one, and that's okay. Are we talking about basketball or football? If we're talking about basketball, this is the toughest schedule that I've ever seen from a basketball team. And there's been some pretty tough ones under Bruce Pearl. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Come on, Kyle. When we do the season prediction show, 99% of those on there will predict AU winning the national championship. I know, but it is my job to help you all have a dose of reality too. And frankly, I do this just as much for my benefit as I do it for yours, to keep myself in check and to keep from getting overhyped, overestimating, some things just because my orange and blue glasses come on. But anyway, all right. Phone lines are open if you'd like to call in. It's been a minute, so we'd love to hear from some of you. We already heard from Kevin tonight. If you are one of our regulars, please do. We've missed seeing you guys, but I keep saying it. Some of you guys that have never called in before, that are long timers here, need to call in. I get you don't want to put your faces out there. Like I get it, but you can at least put your voices out there. Let's hear from you. Let's hear that HOA meeting, Neil. He's gonna do it now. It'll be really awkward. Robbie thinks we're playing some great ball right now, and I would agree. You should do it, Neil. Do it if you're bad. Do it if you're bad, Neil. The fact that you're so bored with your HOA meeting that you're watching this show says something. Well, no one cares about Cal's new OC, Corey. No one cares about it. Here's another. I'm just full of bursting bubbles tonight. If you want a particular head coach to not be ever, mentioned or just spoken of in his time at Auburn here, it's best to let sleeping dogs lie and let it go. Let him be the petty one. This whole everybody running him through the mud when he got named OC, or apparently got named OC, or at least was going to. I'm so over the Harsin hate. It's not even funny. Unbeaten Lake making a big claim that all of our starters are all SEC. Well, for preseason, Janai is definitely that first team. CBM was third team. I would argue that he needed to be second team. I think less of issues that he had in last season, he probably would have been on second team. I think right now, people who have made the best case on Auburn's team to be part of all SEC is Tahad, definitely for freshman all SEC team. I think Denver and Chaney have just had very hot and cold, but when they're hot, they are extremely hot. Miles Kelly has definitely put himself in a conversation piece for should he be in that talk with his shooting prowess and also his ability to do other things too. That's not the only thing that he can do. Auburn's roster is just so complete and so well built, frankly. And I got to give, honest, I didn't know whether they were going to be built this well or not. And it's nice to see it actually come to fruition. I guess I have to be fair if we're not going to give, a lot of time to, the other one there. I have to be fair here, even though I'm a big fan of Gus, but I want whatever makes Gus happy. And if that is what makes him happy, certainly happy for him to have that. But he's not the only coach to make that decision in current times. A lot of coaches are deciding it just ain't worth it. I just want to be a OC, a DC, all that stuff. The question I always wonder, who's going to be the next one that says they're giving it up, and is just going to take on some lesser responsibilities than being the head coach of a NIL driven program. Yeah. All right. What else is on your minds? We have hit a bunch of stuff already this evening. I am going to give a big shout out to our soccer coach, our new one, James Armstrong, who was a former assistant and associate head coach for Auburn under Karen Hoppe, obviously handpicked by Karen, but also he was at Mississippi State while John Cohen, our AD, was there. So frankly, I'm excited. I know a lot of you aren't here as huge soccer fans, but you need to be familiarizing yourself with him, what he did at Mississippi State, and getting ready for next year. If Auburn football gets itself in a right way and is, a typical Auburn success of a football season with soccer and what he's going to bring to the table, volleyball, who kind of fell off a little bit this year, but they still got a great coach and a great program. Folks, we're in for quite the fall semester next year of a start, I think. It is a real sport, Neil. It is a real sport. I played it, so I am going to fight you on that one, but it is an Auburn sport, so it is a real sport. We can at least agree on that. First rule of E2C. You should know this. That's right. We speak reverently of all of our Auburn people, unless there are a few exceptions. And you won't find me dogging Harsin here, but you really won't see me saying anything pleasant about him either. Miles Kelly, yes, all SEC, even his defense is awesome. I think one of the problems for Miles Kelly is because his 3-point shooting is so obvious, so good that it overshadows the other things that he does. It's kind of like getting typecasted into a role as an actor where you do something so well, it's hard to see you doing anything else. Or even when you try and do a very good job in a different role, people will always think of you as whatever. If you were Spider-Man, or if you were whatever pop culture phenomenon, if you were Harry Potter. Forgive me for even bringing that up. I think that's probably what we've got going on with Miles here. He's so good at 3-point shooting that if anything else shines, it's still not paling, but just it's hard to compare it to that 3-point shooting. He's a very good player all around, though, and we shouldn't forget that. Let's see here. The first cornhole team. It's funny. I'm going to use this to segue off what Neil's saying here. Let me make some. Is my microphone still on? Sorry. I just heard a little pop in my. Okay, mic check. Yeah, I heard a little pop in my headphones. This part of I wear them for you guys to make calls. Call in. But also to monitor the audio. And I heard a little pop like that just went off, but we're good. I want to use this to segue into some what Neil's saying here, just a joke about the cornhole team. But I really want Auburn to do a better job promoting its club teams and their schedules. And there needs to be some organization to it. There needs to be a sub website of those club teams, just like there is Auburn Athletics, so people can know when these things are happening. How many times have I had to do some hardcore research to go check out something that's happening in Auburn on a game day weekend? I went to a rugby match this year and I had a blast. They were whooping up on Georgia while I was there. I know ice hockey plays in Columbus, so that's hard to go, but that goes on during the winter too. There's several other things out there that you could. There's a men's volleyball team. There's a men's soccer club team. I really want Auburn to do a better job of this so that I can attend, but it's easier to find that information out there. It's up to them to really get the word out, and it's not that easy in this world. Let's see here. Eventually, cornhole, pickleball, breakdancing. We stop at breakdancing, or we end before breakdancing. How about that? AU has a hockey team, but they get no publicity. We've had them on. I hope that you listened to that podcast that we did several years ago with our friend Dustin, and when he was around here, he did a show with me about it, and then I think he actually interviewed somebody from the hockey team. He was very big into hockey, and I really wish I want them to do something, make a rink, something to have them here. I think it would do very, very well. Better than people think it will, because I would attend. I'd be excited about that. The wheelchair basketball team gets absolutely no publicity. I would actually disagree with you here, Dudley. I don't know if you're part of the thing, but they probably get the most publicity, at least from us and several others, than anybody else. Because Rob Taylor, their head coach, is always the either assistant or co-head coach of the U.S. wheelchair basketball team. So they get a lot of publicity, and it's not as much as they should get, but they are well known. They are well known, and still need to be even more well known. They fall into that same category. Club teams, other groups that have athletic teams they put together that aren't varsity sports, that aren't NCAA approved, whatever the terminology in, they all need to be on a website together. Here's the calendar. Let's do it. I don't have the time to put that together and do that research, but somebody needs to. There was an AU NASCAR in the past. Are you talking about an AU on it? I think you're right. probably speaking out of turn here, but there was an opportunity for us to do something Auburn and NASCAR related that was brought up to my attention, and nothing's really come of it since. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but never say never. You guys have learned this here. We're about the Auburn experience, and we will dive into every single aspect of it as we can. AU sponsored NASCAR. That's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Thank you, Neil. All right, Tim. Second half of next year's football schedule, we will go 5-1. Write it down unless we have major injuries. What a prediction. Looking at it again, as I struggle to pull it up on screen for myself because I've got too many. You know what? Here, I'll bring it up on screen for everybody. Let's do that. Tim says 5-0 in the second half of the season. I won't have this up the entire time, but I will bring it up right now just for our purposes because it is a fair thing to look at. So this is from Auburn. Whoops. There we go. You'll look right there. The back half, I would assume by that he means Missouri to Alabama. Home win versus Missouri seems likely. Arkansas will be a tough road win, but possible. Kentucky should be a nice home win as well. Vanderbilt on the road, if they maintain themselves, could be tough, but it is possible. Mercer win, and you never know what happens in Alabama. I don't know it's that hot of a take, but hey, I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, look, it looks pretty good for that type of setup. The first half of the season is definitely the toughest. I'll leave this up for a second if you guys have any questions or comments or topics about it, and then we'll bring it back down. Let's see here. We got a lot of the snipe hunting team. I feel like that's a joke that I'm not privy to. Archery club team. I don't know if there's an archery club team, but I feel like there should be. You know what? Auburn University Archery Club. Auburn Archery Club has no upcoming events. See, this is what I'm talking about. So you can go look these up on Auburn's website, and it has them like a page. But to be honest, there's never like a full calendar or anything there for them. I think sometimes for like the rugby team, they're listed on there. For all of these things, people don't know how to attend them. There needs to be a club team website to do this better. There is no way to predict next year in football as no one knows who will be our quarterback. Well, it goes much deeper than that, WT, and I know you know that. I would say the offensive line has more of an effect on that necessarily. I got into this debate today with someone on TikTok, and they literally they would make their point, which made my point. And I'm like, he's like, it's the only player that touches the ball the entire the game or the entire time the offense is out there. You mean the center? I mean, the center, the offensive line, yeah, literally, if they can't get the ball to him, or if they can't, as he's getting the ball, keep somebody from falling on top of him, it's over. So the offensive line is the most important, and I do not know how that's going to look next year. So that could be a huge, huge factor. Yeah, WT, I thought that's what you were referring to, and I wasn't sure, so I wasn't going to bring it up. But yes, I figured that's what you were talking about. Sounds like you did that a lot in your times. I'm trying to think. I wasn't part of a fraternity or anything, but did we have freshman things that we did? I was part of the Auburn BCM, the Baptist Campus Ministries, and we, obviously made a big deal at the start of the semester, like most club or campus organizations do. And I don't think we had like a freshman initiation or anything like that. Not that you need that, but it's just that sounds like something that you would do to freshmen. Oh, man, thinking about some good times there as well. By the way, I will say this about the Auburn Baptist Campus Ministries group. We were the most committed to getting our seats in the student section every single week. And I was part of that too. Not only did we camp out several times, the gates opened 2 hours before kickoff. Sometimes we were there 4 hours before that. So 6 hours before kickoff. So think about that. For some particular games, usually a night game, we were probably at the gates at noon, waiting to fight off the frat boys that decided only 2 of them were going to show up, and expect the rest of them to be able to come in because they were saving their spots. And I mean, like 20 of them didn't fly. We got them out of there. No, we did not have any good keggers. And whether you were part of a group or a frat or whatever, everybody seems to find their core group of friends when they're at Auburn, which is always great to see and hear, especially if you go, insert yourself into all that Auburn has to offer as a student. They'll give you opportunities to meet people and make friends and make connections and relationships, because that's what it's all about, man. Not to get all philosophical here tonight, but life is about relationships. Prove me wrong. And if you do try to prove me wrong, it shows me that you're a very sad person. Anyway, all right. Got off the rails a little bit here. What else is on your minds tonight? Phone lines are open for you. There was the schedule listed for you guys for a little bit. Wanted to at least let y'all have that for a short amount of time this evening to look at if you had any thoughts or impressions about this. I'll give you a little prompt here. How are we feeling about the Ohio State game? Is anybody nervous about that? Anybody going? I had potentially looked at going. I had kind of hoped and believed I would go, and then it set into my mind that it is a 10 a.m. tip-off Eastern time. Let me say that again, that if you are in a central time zone, which I know a lot of you are, you will have to be up and ready on your Saturday morning at 9 a.m. to watch your Auburn Tigers. I actually love the fact that we play in the holiday hoops giving event most years now. It seems to be this type of matchup where it's a formidable team, but not one that should be super feared, like a Duke or something like that. It's a good matchup for the most part. But most times we have gotten a right after lunch game or an afternoon. I don't know that they've actually started this early before. I could be wrong. They have 3 matchups this time, and we're getting the early one. Someone explain that to me. That's messed up. That's just messed up. Unbeaten Leg says, Ohio State worries me a little. Bruce Thornton is a name to watch out. Don't know the name, but I'll certainly keep that in mind. Unbeaten Lake. Tim is not worried. Win by 10 plus points. I think we can do that by the end of it, certainly, especially if we're holding like a 7 to 8 point lead with about 2 and 3 minutes left. Auburn's going to be able to do some things. If Janai is not in foul trouble, is able to assert himself, get to the free throw line, then you can extend that out. That can very much happen. WT thinks could be troublesome. Think we should win, but not sure by how much. Yeah, I kind of feel similarly. I'm not sure the margin of victory. Not really that I make predictions about this, but I wonder, Auburn's got a target on its back now, and there's a lot of people wanting to knock Auburn off. Duke did it, but it's Duke. But there's a lot of the perceived underdogs to us now that are ready to do something like that. When you're at a neutral site, you're out of sorts, you're out of whack. Yeah, Auburn travels well. Auburn has a great contingency advantage in Atlanta, but will they play well again on the road? It shows that they have so far this season, which is why you shouldn't be too worried about it. But there's always that chance, right? Different sight lines for goals, just different sounds that you don't know how it plays for the team. Playing in a neutral site in a big arena. We'll see. Most of these guys were here a lot of these guys, at least, if not most, were here last year and experienced it. So they do have some familiarity with what they're going to experience there. I don't know what the Rutgers Stars has to do with it, but is that related to them? They held. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that part. They held Rutgers Stars Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper to only 66 points on Saturday. The whole team, or just the two of them? Because that's impressive if that's the low end for the two of those together. Like, is that what you were talking about? Or the whole team? I hope that's the whole team. Yeah, I saw Rutgers played Alabama in the tournament that they ran, and it was a close game. So I figured Rutgers was a pretty decent team. I hope y'all are getting excited about March Madness. I know it's a long way off. I'm so excited about it this year. And It goes beyond Auburn. I think we're going to have a great tournament. I think there's a lot of parity. I think Auburn's going to do well. If they get a good draw, it's a lot to be excited about for basketball season taking center stage. Yes, I still find it funny that the Duke athletic department had to chastise season ticket holders because so many Auburn fans showed up in their seats. As Bruce said when he tweeted that out or reshared it, that's just Auburn being Auburn, man. I mean, that's just what we know already happens. And look, not shocked. I'm shocked that it forced a serious email. I thought it might be like a funsy email, like, hey, man, let's just, show up next time. No, this seemed like a scolding of sorts. It was pretty funny to see that happen. As I said on the Auburn Experience podcast this week, if you need any more proof that Auburn has arrived as a blue blood, a new blue blood, not the old guard, but the new guard, that is your proof right there from the Duke Athletic Office. It'll be impressive, but they held them to 18-12, which is under their average. Okay. It'd be impressive. Talking about the record star. Tim is excited about the basketball tournament for the SEC. You should be. It's going to be the best basketball conference tournament out there, as it always is these days. I mean, was it 5 teams in the top 10 for the SEC? Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida. Those are your best candidates. In Arkansas, they're getting their feet set under the new regime of John Calipari. Don't count them out. Those seem to be your top 5 to 6 that have the best shot at everything this year. I think some of the Duke fans did not think it would be a decent game and sold their tickets too early. Well, did you see the ticket prices for that? I'm sorry, and I said this on the show too. I get that email from the athletic department and I just laugh at them because I made a pretty penny off of that. There were Auburn fans that wanted to be there, and boy, did they make some money off of that. So sorry. And they're like trying to say it's, against policy to do this. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to do anything about it. You can't prove any of it. So it's just blowing smoke because you got embarrassed at your home court. Our Auburn fans were heard cheering at Duke, especially in the first half. 1,000 strong. Is that how many were there? That's what 8,000 to 9,000 arena. Cameron Indoor. Let's look it up. Cameron Indoor capacity 9,300, 314. So yeah, 1,000 Auburn fans in there would make a humongous difference. A humongous difference. Very impressive for Auburn, continuing to show out and show up, which is what we do because it's orange and blue. I was going to continue rhyming, but I ain't got the timing. All right, I'm done. All right, I've been asking this a lot on different streams and stuff. Some of our Q&As after the Auburn experience. It is Auburn Christmas time. Auburn Santa's out. You can see him back here. I know the background's a little blurred. It's done by design. You can see my lights. And I have this Aubie Christmas plate that I was thinking about putting up like right here or like right here, but we don't have a holder for it yet. What else did I have? I could probably find a way to get some of those like ornament holders and put some of our Auburn Christmas ornaments up here. I love Christmas, by the way. And so I want to deck the set out more and more each year. And I know there's anything extra. It's just a different setup, I think, than last year, because I don't know that if I was in this setup this time last year, but you'll always have Auburn Santa here. The little, I haven't got it in the right position, but it's like a Auburn Christmas truck. The lights, maybe Aubie Santa plate ornaments in the coming years. I tried to see if I could put like some garland or something up here, but it didn't really show up on the set the way it is right now. Anyway, but if you guys have some Auburn Christmas ideas for me to do for the set, Auburn Christmas related things, what you want for Christmas, let me know. You need an Auburn Christmas stocking. That would be a good thing. Hang it, from one of those or somewhere else. There's a lot of things that I could do. I'm losing the audience starting to drop as I'm starting about Auburn Christmas. I didn't hear nothing about transfer portal, so I'm leaving. Solution to the plate hanging problem in 2 words: duct tape. Duct tape. No, I like that thing. I don't want to. I want a plate holder so it can be safe. But it's a good idea on that stocking, though. I'll think about that. What else are you guys talking about? Corey says, is the baseball softball team going to be decent this coming season? Let me talk about it in 2 ways. So I talked to someone that doesn't work on the softball athletic staff, but works with the Auburn softball out. Is not part of the team, but works in the area. How about that? And I asked this person's opinion because he seems pretty well informed on it. Obviously works very closely with the team and stuff like that. And I just said, look, tell me what to expect this year. Like, is this a traditional rebuilding year, or is this going to be a year people just need to deal with? What's this going to look like? And he told me this. He started by saying, I think they'll do well in non-conference play. It's just going to be tough in the SEC. And so the way he was building out his statement about softball was expect a less than exciting year is what I was taking. So I said, is that what less exciting year? He said, oh no, I think they're going to win a bunch of games and make a lot of noise. But I think people need to be prepared that it's going to be tough when you consider adding Texas and Oklahoma and just the nature of a new regime coming in. So he seems pretty optimistic. That was my ultimate takeaway from him. Baseball, it can't be worse than last year, can it? It can, but not much. So I think we're going to have a big, big, big bounce back here. I think the energy is going to be all-time high with the new facility stuff. It seems from what we've talked about it, Austin seems pretty privy to a lot of things on the baseball team too. He seems pretty optimistic about a lot of these transfers that we brought in. So I think you've got a lot to be excited about on the diamond this year. So I know, let's be honest, the big 3 carry each of their respective seasons. Football, men's basketball, and baseball. They carry and that kind of carries the momentum of interest during that time. Football didn't do so well this year. The other things were doing kind of great for a while, that kind of died off. So thus the fall season kind of like faded for us. Basketball is pretty hot right now. Women's basketball is doing pretty great too. Gymnastics should be great. Equestrian's doing great. Swimming and diving should be just fine too. So that should be a pretty good season there. If baseball and softball kind of come together in a nice trajectory, along with some of the other great spring sports action that people need to take more advantage of, we could be moving into a trend here where, like, from the winter sports on to spring to the next fall and so forth, we could be in for some fun times at Auburn for a few seasons. Let's just put it that way. Brian says, I have a Christmas ornament of Aubie holding Al. I thought it said AI. Al around the neck. Well, that's kind of violent. Is it bad that I kind of like it, though? We have some of the most like ginormous, large Christmas ornaments for Auburn stuff that just kind of take up this mini tree that we have. So, we probably need to continue to reevaluate the types of trees that we're putting on that. But maybe I'll bring some of those up here. That's probably what we should do, is like do a Christmas ornament showing every year or something like that. We'll see. We got one more week, really, till Christmas, like for us for the show. So I guess next Wednesday will be our last show before Christmas. Let me make sure of that. Yep, because it'll be Christmas Day, and we definitely will. Well, the 18th. How about this? I won't say no to a Auburn Family Night live stream on Christmas evening, but it'll be up in the air. It's silly season right now with the schedule. Okay. Steve's popping in, says, I like next year's schedule for football. Hope it all comes together. Well, the schedule has come together. I think you mean the team. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of questions out there, but the schedule looks very favorable in having it more spread out, less compacted in the heat of Alabama. But it will be a fun football season. Georgia Tech wide receiver would be nice to replace KLS. Huge accolades for KLS for coming in and showing what he was made of. Yeah, that's the main thing I would talk about from this comment because, again, we don't know if the Georgia Tech guy's even going to come here, much less live up to that hype or fill those shoes. I do think the wide receiver room needs somebody with some experience to come in to continue to help that room along. I think you could see that with KLS and at times with Robert Lewis and Sam Jackson filling roles until the young guys got ready. So I think there's room for a leader of that sort on this team from somebody else. So it'd be nice if it was somebody highly thought of like that. Props to KLS. I think KLS is going to be one of those that we always wonder, what if he had one more year? What if he had one more year in him? There's no loopholes that I know of to get him back here for a year. He's already announced, I think, that he's going to the NFL. It would be awesome if he could. But he will be the one-hit wonder that will always ask what could have been if he had started with us. He was a breath of fresh air in the transfer portal. You could have an Auburn ornament as an Christmas prize? What do you mean? Like for you guys? Or like, what are you saying? Like, is that what you're saying? Robbie says, I might have missed it, but what's the talk on the quarterback of a quarterback coming from the transfer portal? So, Robbie, I'll give it one more time. I do not worry about people who aren't currently committed or signed at Auburn. I know a lot of you are so excited about that, and I get it, and it is obviously very important to the team. But I am personally not really invested in anybody that hasn't currently committed. I just don't see the value in obsessing that somebody's visiting or anything like that. Auburn needs a quarterback. Frankly, two of them, and the coach will find who gives the best fit for us for all the needs, playing and financial wise. Let's keep that in mind. So you want to have a contest. Believe it or not, Corey, it's not the first time I've had this. I've thought about this before too. Never say never. It's a good suggestion. I thought about doing something like that with the Conquer Club people on Patreon. Just haven't got around to it. But not a contest, but more like I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into stuff and commit to things that I'm not ready to do yet, but it certainly is a good thing. WT says, if you do a Christmas Eve show, I will be there. Yeah, look, I will be traveling back from my family stuff. Jessica has to work the next day. So at her, her job here back at home, we'll be visiting with family the days before that. So you'll see less and less of me during that time. But I won't rule it out because there is room for me to do that. Depends on what time we get here. I don't know what Jessica is going to really have planned for us as far as Christmas evening here, Christmas Day evening. So we'll just have to play it by ear. Maybe a surprise Christmas for you all. That'd be kind of cool to do if we can do it. All right. We are at 9:07. We started late, so I'm ending late for you guys. If there is not a topic, a comment, a question that we have addressed yet this evening, now is the time to get it in. Post it in the live portion of the chat as we start to wind down our show. This is your last chance to call in. If there is a topic that you want to have for sure addressed to the fullest, call in. Hit the link here in the chat. You can find it on YouTube. Should be somewhere in the chat on Facebook, I believe, as well. All you got to do is hit the link. You can be on camera or off camera. All we mainly need is your voice, but we want to hear from you. So give it a try tonight. Here's my Christmas gift that I'm asking for from our audience. I want to hear from guys like Neil, from Corey, from WT, from Unbeaten Lake for the very first time next week. How about that? Or right now. That's my Christmas gift. Anybody. I want to hear from some of you guys that have been watching for a while. Just give it a try. Just say hello and wishing you a happy or a Merry Christmas. Happy, Merry Auburn Christmas. That's all I'm asking for. Because we got to get you used to doing these things. Anyway, all right. Couple things coming up for you on the next scheduled stuff for us here at E2C Network. Don't forget, post-game shows all throughout the basketball season. There will be a time in late January, early February where I'll miss a few, but I'll be on vacation. But other than that, most of the post-game shows will be available for you. Auburn versus Ohio State, the Ohio State, as they call themselves. How pretentious is that? We'll talk about that on Saturday after the game. So join us for that. The Auburn Experience, our main podcast, the flagship show of everything we do here with me and Austin. We'll be back with episode 106 this week. Make sure you check out episode 105 wherever you can get your podcasts and listen to what we talked about this week. Some fun stuff, especially for you recruiting junkies over there on that. As always, check out our links in our description for ways to connect, support, and other stuff. One of those things is our link to Alumni Hall as an affiliate of theirs. If you buy something through that, go to them through that link and buy something, you support them and support us. So thanks to them for allowing us to be an affiliate. Get your Christmas gifts before it's too late. Anything else? Final few minutes. I'm about tired of talking because I've had 2 live streams back to back. But certainly, I don't want us to get out of here without covering what you all want us to discuss. My daughters spend Christmas Eve with their mom, so I could just here by myself. Would be cool to spend it with the E2C family. So, how about this, WT? If we don't do a full live stream, we might do something with the. We might message the Conquer Club people. You're in that. So we'll see if we can't do a little something if we don't do, do a full live stream or something like that. All right. Anything else? This is your final opportunity. We've talked about a lot this evening. We've talked a little portal. We've talked about basketball. We've talked about that full schedule. We've talked about softball and baseball. We talked about soccer. We talked about all the club teams. Folks, this is why this show is the best time of the week, because we can get into anything and everything here. I don't think is there a topic we didn't broach tonight that we need to that's related to Auburn? Robbie says, I know I'm new to the group, but I'm going to try to show up more. I love everything Auburn and talk Auburn basketball, football weekly with mom who lives in Auburn. Well, lucky her. Please do. We'd love to see you around here more, Robbie, certainly, whether you're on Facebook or on the YouTube side of things. We got a good community here that continues to grow every day, and we're very thankful for everybody who even stops by once. But if you want to stop by more, we'd love to have you here. WT, I know that you talk about the heat for the early AU home games, but I doubt the Auburn football team will likes playing in that Texas heat. Oh, I recognize that, and I'm dreading that game sitting in it. But I have connections out in Waco that I don't have a lot of other places of, maybe a place to stay, or at least someone that's going to not steer me wrong and guide me in a sense. So I plan to be at that game and dealing with the heat. Hopefully it will be a evening game, because the reality is I don't have to really be there for anything other than the game. I probably will go to the Tiger Walk, maybe live stream it if they're having one out there, which I would suspect they are with the banner. It's a cool stadium and a cool venue around the stadium. If you haven't ever looked it up, you should. I will give them that much. But I'm ready to beat my brothers, not their alma maters. What do you call it? If you went to graduate school to a different place, is that still another alma mater for you? My brothers went to seminary there, so I'm ready to whoop them and put them in their place. We need that to happen. All right, folks, I think we'll call it a show. Thank you so much for your patience with having the delayed start. And the schedule reveal, throwing a monkey wrench and nearly making it 3 weeks in a row that we didn't do this, but I was determined to get one out there for you. Thank you so much for being part of our little family within the Auburn family. I appreciate you guys. I enjoy talking with you, connecting with you, and talking about the Auburn experience. Till I see you again, War Eagle.